You've been at this for a long time. You put in a lot of effort, you're not seeing a lot of results, you're tired and maybe even ready to give up. But let me ask you, have you done everything you possibly can to exhaust all possibilities, maximize all of your input to get the maximum output from your project? I can guarantee we've thought of some ideas to leverage that you haven't even thought of yet. Let's talk about production. It's always good to look at production from the end backwards. You need to tailor your quality and quantity to the person who's going to buy, the person who's going to watch, your final audience member, your final customer. What materials are you going to use? Are you going for quantity? Because you can go for cheap and sell a lot, or you can go for high quality and sell a few for a higher dollar amount. Are you going to go with low cost material or high quality material? If you're talking about videos, video production, writing a book, you're talking about where you're sourcing your ideas. For video production, do you have a source of content ideas that is pretty easy to access? That is the low cost of information. How about high quality material? Is your material worth watching? Is it going to keep people watching? Is it going to retain your audience? These are all the basics that we're going to fill in with more details. You need to do your research and development. Not only do you need to research your market, you need to research your audience and techniques associated with it that you get better at as you do more. Artwork definitely has a lot of skills to learn in there. You might think, oh, painting is easy, but then you actually put brush to canvas and you realize, I don't know how to actually direct the paint where I want it to go. It's not going the way they did it. They make it look easy. Technique, skill. What is the best process, best workflow to get more out of this with less effort? Again, back to your clients. Is this something you can make customized to them? Is this something you can make personal for them? Talk about mass production. Can you simplify the work? Can you make smaller work? What is your workflow? Can you use better technology? Can you delegate to more people? Can you use automation? Coming back to the low cost of ideas, is this idea stolen from somebody else? Maybe you need to add your own spin on it to make it actually unique. There's lots of inspiration you can take from people who have already done something. You just need to do something a little bit different to stand out. So, is it inspired but not stolen or copied? You're already on your way. If you're just copying and stealing other people's materials, you're not going to stand out and no one's going to respect you. If you're completely unique, no one's going to know what to do with that. But if you're inspired by something that's out there, you're adding to the conversation, you're adding some information, some value to what's going on out there already. When it comes to production, you can be bold, you can tackle some bold topics, do your art, your video in a bold way. So are you being bold? Are you being bizarre or tackling topics that are bizarre? After all, when it comes to video production or it comes to art, it's all about getting people's attention. Is this work ageless or is it a hot topic or trend? You want to stay on top of trends, you want to stay on top of hot topics, but you don't want to end up pigeonholing yourself into following trends, because those are not evergreen topics. Those don't stay good forever. They die pretty fast. So maybe you want to tackle something, most definitely you want to tackle topics, issues that are ageless. And when it comes to styles, it's safe to pick styles in your artwork, in your craft, whatever it is, that's going to be ageless. People won't get tired of it. And that's all about creating a strong brand. But when it comes down to hot topics and trends, you do want to jump on things while they're still fresh. And that's all about being timely. Are you producing things when they matter? Monopolize all the angles. Let's say you're telling a story. You don't want to tell half the story here and then go off and tell half the story there and go off over here and have someone else tell half the story there so that people can search it all out and piece it all together. Dividing your efforts across multiple venues, you're not creating one cohesive story and one cohesive audience. You're creating brand confusion. You need to put it all in one place. Unless you're experimenting, what you're experimenting with is so completely different that it needs to be its own thing. Think about when Shyamalan made Glass. That brought two brands together. Split and Unbreakable. Brought them both together into one movie. Those two movies needed to be two different movies. He couldn't make them the same movie. But then when it came to Glass, he could finally bring them together into one story. Crossovers. That's really cool. So then you can kind of create different brands and create a crossover between them. But again, you're dividing your efforts and the audiences are no longer the same audience. You have to eventually unify all of your audiences in order to get the most out of that? Are you creating emotion and mystery over information and conversation? In a conversation, typically what you do is you just give the information first. In a story, you create mystery around what is going on, slowly evolve this mystery into a climax and a resolution. That also comes down to educating in a satisfying manner, not just giving people the information that they want. You need to create a mystery that's going to evolve. And as you give more answers, you create more questions. And as you create those questions, you answer them and eventually satisfy them and educate them at the same time. Quality control. This usually applies to a factory. It also applies to art. It also applies to video. You need to have your quality controlled. Sometimes that means polling your audience, kind of like being customized, kind of like being personalized. You can poll your audience, you can poll your clients, ask them what they want, and you can produce more of that. I talked about researching your materials. Sometimes that's about researching your physical materials. So creating a video may actually have to do with researching your physical materials and technology. And then researching your content has to do with making sure that you're delivering the best information in the best way that you can. And I say that to distinguish it from researching who you're selling to. So you have material research, you have technology research, you have your content research to make sure you're giving people the most information, also depending on who they are. Are you doing your market research to find out what that audience wants and then tailoring your content to match? I talked about being timely when I was talking about trends, but what about how often do you deliver to your customers? I mean, do you deliver on your promises? Do you deliver products when they expect them? Do you deliver content when they expect it? Videos? Are you producing at a rate that people don't forget about you? So being relatable, all about market research, all about understanding people and working with people, all about polling your audience to get information about what they want. It's about being inspired but not ripping someone off and copying what they do. And that way you're adding to the conversation, putting your own spin on things, adding your own take. Clarity. Yeah, you need to be clear about what you're talking about and you need to keep it simple. But you also need to have brand clarity. You need to have clarity across everything that you do. In case of YouTube, that means all your stuff needs to be similar enough for YouTube to know what your channel is and push it out to the right people. When you produce two products that are too dissimilar, you need to create a new brand for that. But when you have different pieces of the same puzzle, you need to create one singular brand so that you reach the audience you're looking for. Are you being genuine? Is your personality genuine? Is this who you are? Or are you making it up for the audience? Is this fiction? Are you trying to present fiction as fact, or are you actually being genuine about what this really is? You create a rapport with your audience when they feel like you're being legit. So if you say, yes, of course, this isn't real, but my audience doesn't want me to tell them that, you need to have a venue where you can talk about your behind the scenes, where you can be yourself and be honest and truthful. There's a lot of people that have made a lot of money going from convention to convention claiming that they were real time travelers or really abducted by aliens and buy my book, please. They never get to the part where they're being genuine and being like, this is fiction, of course, but you don't want me to tell you that. That's kind of like being a magician, not revealing your secrets. But everybody knows that the magician is not performing real magic. He's an illusionist. So we talked about polls, we talked about feedback and experimenting. When you experiment with things, you get feedback back from your audience. Sometimes that experiment is just something small that you can do within your brand. Maybe you should veer off, or maybe you should stay on course. Your market feedback will tell you that when you experiment. You don't want to steal ideas from people. Are you being clever enough? Are you adding to the conversation? Are you being unique? In a video game channel, it's really hard to get noticed. The only thing you can do is be clever, be unique, have a new voice, have a new perspective on it, talk about something that's bizarre, and monopolize all the angles on it. Why not? Do this sonic level from the ground, or maybe you can do that same level in a pathway up above. Do a speed run, exhaust all possibilities. There's all sorts of angles, glitches, etc. Finally, when you add your unique voice to it, like writing, you're telling what you know. You're writing what you know, what is familiar, what you have a passion for. It might be fiction, but at least you're revealing your passions and the fact that you have immersed yourself in this world and you're inviting other people into it. The passion and knowledge is important. So come down here, we're going to talk about the sales perspective. Sales outlets. For a lot of people, stores may not apply, bricks and mortar may not apply, but for some niches, that's exactly what you need. You need to go straight for stores. There's a million people selling online, but how many people are selling at that particular bricks and mortar store? When people walk by your product in that store, they have to see it. When you put it online, it may be served up to absolutely no one. Who knows who's gonna see it on eBay or Etsy? You know, plenty of online platforms to sell from, but maybe the place where you need to go is that bricks and mortar store to sell it on consignment. Delegating responsibilities can include selling in a store. You're not doing the actual sales, you're just producing the product. Delegate, automate. Selling online, that's something you can automate. If you're selling t-shirts, you can automate that by going to certain companies or delegating to certain companies. And are you taking bold steps? Sometimes that has to do with your price. You might take a product to a consignment store and they might be like, we can sell this for a lot more. So that's great. Take bold steps. Did you produce a work of art? Don't undersell yourself. Some people are making less than minimum wage on their art. Charge what you think it's worth. Otherwise, people may not take you seriously. All right, let's talk about audience reach. There's a lot of outlets for audience reach. You have advertisements you can put out there. You can put advertisements in newspapers. You can share by word of mouth. You can share on social media, other platforms. Take a look at all the possible angles you have for social media. A lot of people now are saying you have to share your videos on Pinterest because Pinterest shows up on Google when you search. So that helps your SEO, your search engine optimization. But yeah, share it on your Instagram, share it on your Facebook. Collaborations and venues, you can collaborate with somebody that will draw their audience to your work and your audience to their work, and so you end up building a bigger audience together. Taking advantage of all the possible venues that there are out there for expressing, sharing, talking about your art, your work, whatever it is. Again, multiple platforms, diversify. You can create alternate exposure by creating blog posts about the work or sharing excerpts of the work. Same thing with videos. If you're a video producer, you can make shorts of your videos. If you're an artist, you can actually show videos of your work. So diversify your outlets. Engage in community forums, maybe not with other producers because they don't have time to engage in your content. Maybe not with other artists because they don't have time to buy your product. They're trying to sell their product still. Talk to people who are interested as buyers. Fashion, science fiction, whatever topic happens to be going on around this issue, you can get involved in the community forums, not pushing your product, but literally engaging with people on the topic, and that may draw people to you. You have to be careful because soliciting is very rarely allowed in forums. However, you can add to the conversation, being an authority on the matter, sharing your perspective, and that also builds your brand authority. Another alternate exposure that you can give people is a subscription email. If you want to be added to my subscribers email, I'll tell you when things come out. Now, a lot of social media, they have follow buttons and they have subscribe buttons, but there's just so much going on that they can't feed the content to everybody who has subscribed. If they literally want to know every time you do something, they need to be on a subscription email. So we've talked about diversifying your exposure and finding multiple outlets for sales, but what about diversifying the product? If you're writing a book, a nonfiction book, you can do public speaking. If you're doing information videos, you can customize or make personalized that information by coaching people one-on-one. And you can give them information that you never would have even thought to give your general audience simply by talking to an individual who has a problem that is specific to their needs. If you're writing a book, it doesn't make much sense to write a book about writing a book, but you could do that too. Even film critics write a book sometimes. Donations. While you're writing a book, you can share excerpts of that book and then utilize that to get donations to continue writing, because you can't sell copies of something that doesn't exist. So you can ask for donations for something that is going to exist. This is about creating something physical and then selling it. So when you create videos to draw attention to your project while you're still working on it, you could do smaller works to draw attention to what you do and what you can do. You can sell that artwork, you can put it on a t-shirt, put it on a mug or a coaster, etc. So you can diversify your product. If what you're doing is not a video, even if it is a video, you can make another video channel about the production of this, about the behind the scenes, and then you can actually get sponsors, you can get affiliates on that channel. You can get people who will give you money. Sponsors are people who will give you money to mention their product. Affiliates are people that give your audience a discount and you get a little bit of that sale. So you're basically selling on commission their product versus a sponsor who just says, you get this number of views, all right, we'll give you some money to mention our product. Otherwise, that would be more like Google AdSense or monetizing your channel. So basically, all of that is about diversifying and trying to come up with other forms of media to sell so that you can continue to make money doing what you're doing. Now, there seems to be a little bit of a problem with all this. It's that some of these things actually take more time. Let's say like Walmart, they open a new store. I don't know how long it's been since that happened, but let's say they open a new store. They don't shut down all the other stores in order to build a new store and hire more people and fill that store. They continue to operate all the other stores, and they have a completely different team build up and fill that store. When you overhaul, you don't want to completely stop what you're doing. You need to keep some basic things going on. Sometimes you can like pre-produce a bunch of episodes or a bunch of product that you can release while you're overhauling everything else. Or you can maintain a status quo production workflow that works for now, maybe dial it back just a little bit, but take the time you need here and there to eventually build something that will make your business, your time, more valuable. Yes, it takes more time, but ultimately, if you do something and be bold with it, it will pay off in big ways. But there are some things that take less time. Mass production, if you do a lot of something at once, you can split it up and sell smaller pieces of it or release smaller increments. So I can film all at once and split it up and release multiple episodes. A large quantity you could break down into smaller pieces and actually sell for more money. Using the right tech, delegation, automation, you can actually get yourself more time. Initially, there is a speed bump that you need to get over that involves overhauling what technology, what techniques you have. But after you do that, you may save yourself way more time. So I want you to take all of these little ideas and ask yourself, am I doing that to the most extreme possibility that I can? So let's say that you got lots of things going on, lots of business ideas, lots of possible things that you could be doing right now, but you don't know what to do. You need to prioritize those businesses. So now that you know how to optimize your businesses, what needs to go into them in order to get how much out of them, you can start to prioritize those businesses in order to understand which ones are the first ones you need to tackle and try. So click here if you want to find out some prioritization techniques and also why they may not be the best techniques. So then I'm going to teach you the best technique for prioritizing your projects and your time. Otherwise, if you've already seen that, maybe you want to check out this video about optimizing specific artistic businesses. Thanks for watching.